Imagine this. You wake up. You're in Berks County, Pennsylvania, God's country, home of the Crystal Caves and the Berks Country Music Festival. It's a nice day out. You're gonna go take your dog for a nice walk in the woods and you got nothing else to do. Let's get to it. Got good music in your head. Come on, dog. And you're gonna go to your front door and get out in those woods and just have a nice time in the trees, like you like to do in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Shy, look at me. Look at me, yeah. Yeah. Why does that tree look so weird? I think I'm gonna go touch it.
I mean, they're so damn thick.
Oh my god, why this? That's all bugs. That's only bugs. That's all bugs on that tree. Ew, it's only bugs. They're really big. There's so many of them. Ew, 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 ew. Shy, come on. Ew, 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 get it off, get it off, get it off. Ew, 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 bugs, gross. Ew, 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 ew. That was so many bugs. I've never seen so many bugs in my entire life in one place. Ew, that was so gross. That was way too many bugs. That's a huge pest problem in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Ew, 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 ew. I gotta wash my hands. That is so gross. Ew. The spotted lanternfly is a fairly new invasive species to the U.S. While we are not sure how it arrived here, we know that it came from China. Like many non-native species, the spotted lanternfly is able to reproduce in huge numbers because of a lack of natural predators and controls. While the spotted lanternfly population is mostly contained in Pennsylvania, it is likely that it will continue to spread and be found anywhere where its preferred host trees are found, such as the Tree of Heaven. Scientists are concerned that the spotted lanternfly is going to cause real damage to not only trees of heaven, but to fruit trees, an important source of income for many Pennsylvania residents. While it is clear that the spotted lanternfly is established in Pennsylvania and that it is a pest that causes damage to important crops and trees, it is also apparent that much more research needs to be done on them. We know relatively little about the spotted lanternfly at the moment, other than what it attacks and that it must be contained as effectively as possible. The state of Pennsylvania is trying its best to keep the spotted lanternfly contained and controlled so that it is unable to damage fruit trees in other parts of the country and stopping a threat to our own trees and orchards. There are many approaches that need to occur simultaneously to prevent further damage. One very important factor is containment within the quarantine zone. If we can keep spotted lanternfly contained to a relatively small area, we have a much better chance at controlling its population. Unfortunately, this containment effort is proving to be very difficult. A dead spotted lanternfly was found in Massachusetts in a potted plant. There are many ways that the spotted lanternfly can be spread, especially through industries such as logging and the nursery industry. Part 1 of the containment effort needs to focus on working with tree companies, plant nurseries, lumber yards, and anyone who ships or uses wood or plant material that could possibly be infested with spotted lanternfly. Numerous resources are required to provide training to anyone who works with these materials so that they know how to avoid transporting infested materials outside of the quarantine zone. This training will not be enough, as constant enforcement and inspections will be required to make sure that the spotted lanternfly is not being moved. Because spotted lanternfly is such a newly established species in the U.S., we know little about how it may try to spread on its own and its habits. Funding will be required to run large enough scale studies of spotted lanternfly movements that we may be able to predict where and how quickly the population may move to. With this information, we will be able to put preventative measures in place with more precision and effectiveness. Finally, research regarding the permanent control of spotted lanternfly must be furthered. The enforcement of the quarantine can only last so long and be so effective. These are band-aid solutions, temporary at best. Biological control, like what was done for winter moth in the early 2000s, In 2005, researchers, including some from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, the Massachusetts flagship campus, were successful in releasing a biological control insect that was able to parasitize the egg masses of the winter moth to help bring their numbers down to a non-threat in the area. A parasitoid insect that is species-specific to spotted lanternfly will ideally bring the spotted lanternfly population down significantly to where they are no longer a pest. Funding and work needs to be occurring for all these preventative and containment measures all at once for any of the measures to be effective. While this will require many resources, the potential damage this species may cause will cause a much greater loss in capital. While the ideal situation for an invasive or exotic species is that it arrives here but cannot gain any type of foothold in our environment and dies before we are even aware it existed on our soil, this is not often the case. When this does happen, no groundwork needs to be done, as the threat never existed. When an invasive insect is able to be so successful due to a lack of natural enemies and controls, the federal government and its agencies have plans in place to try to tackle the pest. One option is to do nothing and let the insect multiply and spread without any human controls and hope for the best. While this option may have been used in the past, new insect pests stand to cause too much destruction to be left to their own devices. Spotted lanternfly has the potential to destroy $18 billion worth of agricultural goods. That's like half of Jeff Bezos or something. That guy is a terrible, disgusting person who shouldn't exist. But that's an argument for another day or class. Depending on the scale of the infestation, this eradication or control effort can be massive, involving everyone from tree care companies, researchers, and scientists focusing on things like pesticides and tracking, to parts of fish and wildlife and agricultural agencies. The plan looks like this. Once a pest has been identified and determined to be such, specimens must be collected and studied, and entomologists work on techniques to track their particular pest. In the case of the spotted lanternfly, researchers in Korea, another place where the spotted lanternfly is causing agricultural damage, have been successful in outfitting spotted lanternfly nymphs with harmonic tracking tags. The research has shown that the tags will stand the nymphs through multiple life stages and not affect their mortality or mobility. This means that scientists will be able to track spotted lanternfly movements, which will be critical in predicting where the infestation may spread. With that prediction, eradication and control measures can be put in place more economically and effectively. The research for an effective and specific biocontrol for spotted lanternfly is underway. An insect that also parasitizes gypsy moth, a pest in our area, has been found in spotted lanternfly eggs. While researchers are hopeful that Oencertus cuvinae, sorry y'all, will be able to slow down the spread of spotted lanternfly, more work needs to be done to show how effective it will be. Efforts like these require years of work to make sure that whatever is used will be safe and effective. Unfortunately, in the time that this work is happening, the population of spotted lanternfly is able to grow and spread without controls like pesticides and management of lands. In 2018, the USDA allocated $17.5 million towards the control of spotted lanternfly. This will primarily be used for developing and implementing insecticides to bring the population down and slow its spread. Controlling invasive species is very difficult, if at all possible. Several agencies must be all working at once to try to slow the spread and multiplication of not only the insect in question, but the several invasive insects that are active at once in an area. This must occur while other agencies are looking for a better long-term solution for the pest, so that valuable resources and time does not need to be spent merely slowing down an exotic pest. Like all things government, control of invasive species is spread over many different agencies and levels among those agencies. This slows down the speed at which progress can be made towards the goal of the ultimate containment of these pests. Overlapping projects, lack of communication between agencies, and resource allocation all stand in the way of progress. A possible solution to the issue can include creating one agency that truly spearheads the effort and makes sure that everyone else has clear paths of communication. The spotted lanternfly alone is capable of causing billions of dollars of damage to crops. The amount of economic damage all invasive insects can cause will only increase over time as world trade continues to grow. There are not nearly enough scientists and entomologists working to control exotic pests, and these issues are often far from the public eye. A strong government agency solely relegated to this task would be able to bring this common issue into the light.